good morning, everybody. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning, a great day to get through the midweek on this day after general elections.
We made it through.
We made it through. Still some things to be decided here, but we're going to get to that. I'm Kristen Burset-Harris. So glad you were here with us this morning.
And I'm Ellen Bryan. We have so much in store for you today. We actually have international entertainer DJ NEEKOLA spinning throughout the show, all along with some Thanksgiving ideas from Blue Duck Tavern. They're over in our kitchen right now.
And we're going to be joined by political analyst Michael Brown as he gives us an update on the local ballots. And that's where we are going now. Yeah. Cautiously optimistic is a phrase that's been thrown around by Democrats and Republicans as returns continue to pour in from yesterday's midterm elections. It could be days before some of these tight races are determined.
Skylar Henry is on Capitol Hill with a look at the winners so far and the key issues that drove voters to the polls.
Inflation and abortion were the two biggest issues on voters' minds yesterday, according to CBS News exit polls.
Prices are horrendous.
Abortion is health care, and it's very important.
CBS News characterizes the battle for the House as leaning Republican. The Senate is still a toss-up, with several incumbents pulling off projected victories, including Florida Republican Marco Rubio.
I believe we are on the cusp of a new generation of leadership in this Republican Party.
And New Hampshire Democrat Maggie Hassan.
Thank you for the trust that you have once again placed in me.
In Pennsylvania, Democrat John Fetterman is projected to beat GOP candidate Mehmet Oz, flipping the red Senate seat blue.
We bet on the people of Pennsylvania, and you didn't let us down.
CBS News has called Ohio's Senate race for Republican J.D. Vance, while Georgia's Senate candidates are urging patience as the vote count continues.
If you can hang in there a little bit longer.
Georgia is showing up in such an amazing way.
Historically, the party in power loses congressional seats in a midterm election. This year, some top Republicans are already conceding that a predicted red wave didn't materialize despite their party's gains in key House races.
The numbers have been amazing so far.
Former President Trump closely watched returns from Florida as he considers a 2024 presidential run. Meanwhile, the White House released this photo of President Biden as he called winners from his party. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
These midterms are slated to be the most expensive ever. The 2022 elections are on track to cost $16.7 billion at the state and federal level, according to the nonpartisan Open Secrets.
That's more than double the midterms from just 8 years ago. Wow. And while not all the results are in, we are going to break down a few of them for you this morning.
And here to help us do that, we need former D.C. Council member Michael Brown, finally back with us. Welcome back to Great Day Washington.
Good to see you guys. You guys look great.
Thank you.
Great to have you. Obviously a crazy night, but yes. I think one of the big things I noticed was that we kept hearing about this big red wave, and it didn't. The wave wasn't really as big as many had predicted.
Didn't quite materialize, right. And I think for several reasons. One, of course, Democrats were going to reject kind of that MAGA election denier kind of Trumpism. But it seems that Republicans also rejected it. I mean, Donald Trump had a bad night personally last night, but Trumpism is still alive, and that still has to be defeated, depending on what side of the aisle you're on.
Right.
But a lot of his candidates went down very hard. We still have to, Arizona, for example, Carrie Lake is one of those huge election deniers. She's right now losing, and we'll see what happens as more of the ballots come in. But a lot of the headliners, except for J.D. Vance in Ohio, who beat Tim Ryan, but that's a red seat anyway. So there wasn't much of a red wave, and frankly, the House is still in play. I still think the House is going to flip to Republican, but the Senate clearly may come down to Georgia.
Okay. And you said Georgia will probably be a runoff here.
Unless something weird happens over the next 12 hours with more ballots, but I don't think anybody's going to get to 50%.
Yeah, because they have to have the 50%. Otherwise, it has to go to the runoff.
50% plus one.
Plus one, yes.
To be exact.
Yeah. So it's not over there yet.
No, it is not.
Wow. A lot still up to say. We're going to start with Maryland. Let's get to some of the Maryland big headlines. The Associated Press reports Democrat Wes Moore defeated Republican Dan Cox in the race for governor. Moore will become the first black governor in the state of Maryland. And our Larry Miller actually has an exclusive interview with Wes Moore. That's coming up on the noon news today. A surprise at all for you?
No, I think in this, like D.C., which I'm sure we'll talk about some of the local stuff in a minute. Maryland is traditionally a blue state, so once you get past the primary, usually, except for in the Hogan case, of course,
except what we've seen the last
for 8 years. usually the Democrat does win. And Wes Moore, I'm proud to say the governor-elect is a good friend, and I'm so proud of him. And he's going to be a great governor. And frankly, probably over the next year or so, you're going to hear his name bantered about being on the list for who's going to be president.
Really?
And run for president 24 or possibly 28. But you'll definitely hear his name bantered about.
I saw an alert that he is the 3rd black governor in our history ever.
That's correct. That's correct.
Can you believe that?
And he's right next door. Well, both and 2 of the 3 were in the Washington D.C. in the DMV. Obviously, Governor Wilder of Virginia several years ago, and now Governor-elect Moore.
Wow. That makes me feel a little better, but I don't like the stat overall. Meantime, Maryland's 6th district race is still too close to call this morning. Incumbent Democrat David Trone is still trailing Republican challenger Neil Parrott by a few thousand votes. That sounds pretty close. This morning, we are down to waiting for the absentee and provisional ballots to be counted. For background, the 6th district is a redrawn district. It was supposed to heavily favor Democrats, but a legal challenge evened the playing field and has Republican Neil Parrott in the lead by just that slim margin. That doesn't sound like a lot to me, right?
No, and a lot of folks are not going to concede yet until every single vote is counted. And frankly, if you're a MAGA or election denier, you may never concede, ever. So that I think folks also need to be prepared for that, not just on the federal side, but some of these local state races. Some of these folks may never concede because they're going to think unless they win, it's not rigged. If they lose, it's rigged.
Oh, of course. Another question on the ballot that had a lot of people talking. A vote to legalize marijuana in Maryland. Now, this would be for recreational marijuana for people over the age of 21. The Associated Press projects voters have approved that item and would go into effect July 1st. And by a large margin there, 2/3 to a third of the vote. It seems like, at least maybe because where we are, but it seems like that seems to be the direction states are going.
Absolutely, and it's like anything that where things change over time. For example, it started to trickle out with gay marriage, same-sex marriage, and D.C. was one of the first states or jurisdictions to approve it. And then obviously history, you don't want to ever be on the wrong side of history.
Right.
Same now with marijuana. Now it's growing in different states around the country, and it's the right thing to do.
See how it works in a couple states. Those states that were guaranteed to legalize it, and then
the revenue. See, that's also the thing.
You forget about the revenue part.
It is a moneymaker.
That is true.
We do want to get to Virginia now because the results are actually in for the hotly contested 7th district race. Democrat incumbent Abigail Spanberger is projected to be the winner over Republican Yesli Vega. Vega's team told us last night that without all of the absentee ballots counted, they still remain confident about the results to favor them. So it's just a projected winner right now.
I thought this would be a bigger margin. Was that a surprise?
No. Well, at least depending on which poll you looked at.
Right.
So they showed it being close.
Okay.
It's because that is a very purple district. It actually was a red district until it was flipped by Abigail in 2018, and then she's obviously keeping the seat now, which is great. Now this is Miss Vega, for example. I don't think she'll ever concede. She's one of those people. I don't think the folks in the media are going to continue to, stick microphones in her face and say, "Hey, are you going to concede?" I don't think she will.
All right, now to District 10 in Virginia. Incumbent Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton will hold on to her seat for a third term after defeating Hung Cao 53 to 47%. Cao was trying to flip the seat back to GOP where it was for decades before the 2018 midterms. Cao seemed to blame low Republican turnout for not winning the race. Are we hearing a lot of that? I feel like people were out in droves. I mean, the numbers are up, right? That's all we talked about.
Maybe they just didn't like his message.
Right.
I mean, that's possible too when candidates lose. And his was frankly, a very extreme message, very far right, and that district is more moderate. So.
Oh, we saw so many ads from Virginia.
So many ads. I'm thankful that part is over.
Yeah, absolutely. And but if you live in Georgia, it's not over.
True.
That's true.
I know.
That's
now
true.
I have pity for them now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to run through a few things that happened in D.C., turn to some of the top races here. We'll start with the race for mayor. The Associated Press projects Democrat Muriel Bowser has won a third consecutive term. She becomes the district's first three-term mayor since Marion Barry.
And now the race for D.C. delegate to the House of Representatives. Incumbent Democrat Eleanor Holmes Norton has held this seat since 1991, not even a race there.
The
Associated Press projects that she has won re-election.
And then a ballot item that has grabbed a lot of attention here, Initiative 82. It would raise the minimum wage for tipped workers in D.C. to $16.10 an hour by the year 2027. The latest results show that voters are approving that initiative by a pretty wide margin. I felt like that was the one that we discussed the most because everything else did not seem like there was much of a contest.
And, you know, obviously, I'm sure a lot of restaurant owners didn't like the initiative, but it's the right thing to do, especially with the cost of living these days, especially in the District of Columbia or the DMV. It's important that folks have a livable wage.
I feel like, I mean, with Holmes, Norton, and Bowser, I mean, it was no contest. I mean, maybe more in the primary, but not in the midterm. So, obviously, really no surprise with those results.
No, I mean, and like we talked about with Maryland, D.C. is kind of a primary jurisdiction. When the primary is over, that's usually the person that'll win.
I like that we don't have to deal with any of this uncertainty or
Just
runoffs
watch Georgia
in our
from
area.
afar.
But there's still tight races for the at-large seat.
Yeah.
There were three incumbents running against each other for 2 seats.
Oh, that's right.
For 2 seats, and it looks like one of the Alyssa Silverman may be the odd person out, and Kenny McDuffie and Anita Bonds looks like they're going to go on to win.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
All right, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, thank you very much for having me. Good seeing you guys. Thank you very much.
There are several ways that you can find the latest election results this morning. Just scan this QR code right here and go to WUSA9.com/elections, or you can download our free WUSA9 app.
International performer DJ NEEKOLA is here getting the party started for us throughout the show. We're going to hear from her coming up.
But first, we have the world's #1 Beyonce impersonator. She is here in studio. We're talking to Riley Knox after the break.
Did you know that the world's #1 Beyonce impersonator lives right here in D.C.?
And as you can imagine, she is an amazing performer, and you can see her coming up at City Winery D.C.
So introducing this morning to Great Day Washington, singer, actress, and fashion designer Riley Knox. Come on out, Miss Beauty.
Hello. Beautiful. And you say you put this whole thing together, right?
I did last night, just for you guys.
Oh my gosh. Amazing.
And fashion, I mean, you've been into fashion for a long, making clothes, designs,
Well, no, I started off making everything that I ever wore on stage.
Okay.
And that's how fashion design, because I've had Riley Knox Couture for only like a year and a half now.
Okay.
But I have been performing for 22 years. So I've made every single thing that I've ever made worn on stage.
Wow.
It was all made by me. Now, it wasn't always great in the very beginning, but then I started replicating all of Beyonce's costumes.
Everything we're seeing
right here. It's very apropos,
right?
because didn't Beyonce's mom always made the costumes for Destiny's Child?
Yeah. And people used to say to me, they're like, well, when you get, now that you're bigger, like, do you want other people? I'm like, no, I know my body better than anybody.
Yes.
I can whip together a leotard in like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah.
When did you realize that you could be the best Beyonce impersonator in the world?
It didn't start off that way.
Really?
I was pushed out onto a stage, and I was very shy and very nervous. And then I was bit by the bug the first time I performed. It was crazy.
Wow.
I literally right after I got off the stage, everybody backstage was like, "You want to do it again, don't you?" And I was like, yes.
Was it a Beyonce song?
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
because this
wow.
was in 2000, and she didn't go solo until 2003.
Wow.
So when Crazy in Love came out, the song was played everywhere, and everybody was like listening to it. It was everywhere. And so I started performing it in clubs around DC, and then I became known as DC's own Beyonce. And then I started performing all around the country and the world, and now I'm the world's #1 Beyonce impersonator. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's been fun. It's been crazy, but it's a lot of work.
Yes.
Because she works very hard, and I have to work just as hard. Even harder sometimes, because learning everything she does, and she always sets the bar higher and higher. So
wow.
Oh, what a person to be impersonating, though. I mean, Beyonce,
the biggest artist of our time, right?
Yeah.
That's quite ambitious. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah.
Well, obviously, it's working very well for you.
Yeah.
I want to bring up, because in 2020, you made some history.
I did.
You, during a Wizards game, became the first openly trans woman to perform at an NBA game.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
Crazy. I felt a lot of pressure to just get it right. I'm never nervous performing. I've never been nervous on stage. I'm nervous before, but not on. And it was amazing because it's so big. It was so big for my community.
Yeah.
And I just want, even if it wasn't me performing, I would have been there, you know, just supporting. But I felt like I wanted to remember it. And if you watch the video, you'll see there's this point in the video where I'm performing Formation, the song Formation. And we paused for a second, and I said, I want to take a moment during this to remember everything. So you literally see me look up into the audience like this and then go back into the choreography. Because I didn't want to, because I do so many things that I'm like, okay, I did it, on to the next, on to the next, on to the next. And this was like, I want to sit in this and remember it.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see where you take your couture line. I love, we were talking about the Real Housewives of Potomac, and you dress a couple of the ladies on there. Some of my favorite gowns of all time. So I'm excited. A year and a half into your line.
Yes,
really
that kind of happened. I started during the pandemic, and because my best friend Monique Samuels was on Real Housewives, and she asked me to make the dress, and I was reluctant at first, but because of that dress, that yellow dress, very heavy yellow dress, I started wearing Knox Couture.
It's amazing.
How many costume changes do you have during your performance?
I have like 6 or 7. The dancers have like 4, I think.
Wow.
Because we are doing like 37 songs.
Oh my gosh, such a show. And you can catch it actually. Riley's next performance is at City Winery DC. It's November 30th, and you can always go to their website for tickets as well.
Oh, I love the sass in that photo right there. For more about Riley's story, she spoke to sports director Darren Haynes, and you can see that on WUSA9.com.
Thank you, Riley.
Thank you.
After the break, we're talking to the international performer, DJ Neekola. Hear her amazing story and how she's taking spinning to a whole new level.
DJ Neekola performs internationally, and she grew up in music. Now, before the pandemic, she performed multiple times a week, and she's had to change it up since then.
Yeah, now her company called Polonki is thriving alongside a campaign called Network On. Neeks, good to have you here.
I'm so glad to be back. Thank you guys for bringing me back.
We saw you before everything changed in the world.
Yes.
And but I know too, like it changed your career, changed how you do things. How did the pandemic switch your DJing career?
Well, it's crazy. I threw everything online. I basically started performing in the metaverse. I started producing music. I started really just becoming creative, a lot more creative than just the live performances. So it kind of opened a lot of doors.
Which were already creative. And you kind of grew up in a creative household, right? You had that music background, it sounds like, with your mom?
I did, yes. Okay. I grew up with music. I mean, it was in my blood. My mother and my father are musicians. And I mean, I didn't go to rock music. I went to pop and electronic. But I love where it took me.
What is it like being, I know you do a lot online now, but being up and we're seeing you in front of people, like, what does that feel like for you?
It's a different experience. You're still connecting with people. It's a really beautiful thing. I mean, honestly, we're here to celebrate the internet. Thank you to Network On for running that campaign to showing us about how awesome the internet is. It has saved my career. It is basically, being able to contact people directly in live events is one thing, but also being able to connect to them online is another thing, because you connect to people internationally versus just in your local community.
Explain this. Right, virtual reality is a big part of what you're doing now too.
It is, yes. Okay. I'm doing things in the metaverse, and
Did you know about that before?
I originally bought an Oculus to be social because I was in my room with everyone else, and then I realized you can perform on it as well, and you can make money. You can have parties. You can have little cyber venues, and it was super cool.
So people are partying with you, but they're all separate, of course. Like they're in their homes, or maybe they have some friends together, but you're not at a club. You're performing from home, but in the metaverse.
I am.
I'm trying to understand this. I feel really old right now.
Yeah, it's different. We got some. I got some footage you can check out on my website. I've got some things that you can see. But from performing in Tomorrowland and Burning Man, some of the best places around the world, to going online is quite a move. But it's still, I'm very grateful for it, because now I get to kind of be a nomad and still DJ and do music and produce.
Because you're kind of doing both now, right? You're in person sometimes and then doing the VR.
Yes. Well, I am. So now that I am doing a lot of remote work, I kind of go back and forth between DC and the DR because I can now. Before, I used to have to be here to be 5 days a week performing. And now I can do part of it from the DR and go kite surfing afterwards.
Oh, how fun is that?
That's neat.
You have an event with Network On, right?
I did.
What was that all about?
That was a few weeks ago, and we did a live event, partially live event, and I was performing and doing some music, and then after that, we did an interview, and it was I was able to tell my story, which was really great because we were celebrating the internet, but also was therapeutic because it was a tough time for performers. And sometimes when you're in the thick of it, you don't feel like people really, you know, understand. And it was so nice to be able to tell my story and watch people react and be like, wow.
Yeah, and despite all that you went through the last couple of years, you're still giving back. Charities are very important to you.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. It's amazing. When I was here, I was doing a lot of work with Best Buddies. I love helping children, and I love being able to share my talents with up-and-coming youth. And now that I'm in the DR part of the time as well, I started a really beautiful little music program that helps give the local kids an opportunity to learn music, about DJing, and I have a lot of it on my website. We're doing some donations to raise money for the kids to get them Macs and get them some more music equipment because we're making quite a difference. We got some little musicians out there that are going to be superstars.
Oh, you are incredible. And we, again, appreciate you being here with us this morning. You're staying with us throughout the rest of the show, right? DJ Neekola is going to spin us into the break now, and then later in the show, we're going to see one of her many personalities coming up.
We're looking forward to that as you hit it. Is that what they say? Hit it. Meanwhile, the new executive chef of Blue Duck Tavern is in the Great Day Kitchen to share some Thanksgiving recipes for you to try out this year.
We've got a cool but sunny day on tap. Look for high temperatures today between 55 and 60 degrees. Plenty of sun out there. Should make for a really nice day. By the hour, temperatures climbing upwards of 59 by 2 o'clock, right around the upper 50s to right around 60 here in D.C. around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Here's what you should know. We've got rain on the way on Friday, and it will be heavy at times. That could lead to some flooding problems, especially around small streams and creeks. And that rain should end for us early Saturday morning, so this weekend will not be a complete washout. And part of the reason why we're going to see that rain get enhanced is because of what is now Tropical Storm Nicole, which is on the verge of becoming a hurricane. It has 70-mile-per-hour winds, gusts are up to 85 miles per hour, due to make landfall in Florida later on this evening, potentially around Port St. Lucie. So this is going to be Thursday at 1 a.m. Storm will quickly weaken as it comes ashore, but it's still going to bring some storm surge, rain that will lead to flooding and perhaps some stronger storms. Then this will be moving up toward the north, toward the D.C. area, but not as a tropical system at that point. It will have lost all tropical capabilities. So Friday essentially is going to be a washout. Here's your Friday early morning, 5:30 a.m. Showers start west. This is Friday at noon, and this is Friday by 4 p.m. Again, that rain will be heavy at times, and we could also see some showers and thunderstorms as a result. So 70 tomorrow, 72 on Veterans Day. Unfortunately, heavy rain. 64 on Saturday. The rain clears. 49 Sunday. Getting cold around here once again. Ladies?
Miri, thank you so very much. You know, Thanksgiving, it's almost here.
I cannot wait.
And if you don't plan on cooking, just let the chefs do it for you.
Absolutely. Blue Duck Tavern at Park Hyatt will be presenting farm fresh items all day long. They're going to start with an a la carte breakfast that starts at 6:30 a.m., runs till 10. Then they're going to re-rack and come back for lunch and dinner from noon to 8 p.m.
And here with us is the newly appointed executive chef, Andrew Cleverton, who is going to tell us more about the menu. Good to have you.
Good to be here. So we're going to have all of our American classics at Blue Duck, as well as some twists to sort of keep things, alive and interesting for diners that have come out and, might want something different than just plain old turkey.
Just like what's in there right now,
right?
So
right now we're doing duck, which is a great alternative to turkey, which will be available on our menu as well. But it is our namesake, so we like to have fun with it. So for you all, what we have going on is our current duck dish, which we will go over real quick. And if we take the whole duck, and we like to showcase each piece of it.
Is that the whole duck up there? On the...
Right here, yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, we like to bring them in. We break them down.
Okay.
So that we have each component that we can sort of treat really differently.
Yeah.
So we do a classic confit on the leg, which is basically what we do is we salt it and get it some aroma with different spices and things. And then we cook it very, very slowly in its own fat. Until it's very, very tender. And then when it comes time for folks to enjoy it, we just crisp it very, very lightly in the pan. And then we get this beautiful crispy leg. Right, so the skin is nice and crispy, but we still have really succulent, juicy, tender.
Does it kind of like fall off the bone, tender?
Yeah, like just right there, because we don't want it to be like mushy, so
no.
but we want to make sure that you guys are like getting something that you're enjoying eating. And
is
then
duck like a gamey? Like how would you describe it?
Well, it's certainly.
I've had it, but it's been on such a long time.
It's. I wouldn't say it's gamey.
No.
What's so great about duck is you can sort of treat it like red meat, so you don't necessarily have to cook it like all the way through.
Oh,
so you get this really robust, rich flavor of the fowl, and it's got like much more, I'd say, character than chicken, but without being gamey.
Right.
Interesting.
So
what part is this?
This is the breast. So what we do is we like to take the breast off of the bird, and then we will cure it for a day. We smoke it ever so lightly in applewood and hay, and then we roast it in the pan. So we take it, we crisp the skin, and then we'll take it to whatever desired temperature the guest wants, and just do a simple carve on it.
So easy to cut.
I know, it's like butter.
Exactly.
Cutting through it.
So
it's pretty.
Just put that in the pan.
Of course, you're going to plate it beautifully, aren't you?
Yeah, and we just have a little bit of like some pear red wine in there with the leg that we talked about earlier, as well as the roasted breast. And then to finish it off, which you're going to help me if you want to take a Rosario for me.
There you go.
And then we have the duck jus, which we make out of the bones. So we roast them, and then we bring that stock down, reduce it, and just right on the meat.
All right.
Meanwhile,
and put some on the leg as well.
You have some other dishes here too. These are all available. This is
all
part of the menu.
All this is available on our current menu. And anybody that wants to do more than just look at them should come in and try them.
Yeah. And looks like the beet dish there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, beets are a great one. That was
a good sauce.
And this is our plum mostarda. You can just get back in there and just kind of just.
So I'm guessing you think
looks great, Chef.
Right.
We'll have. If you don't want to cook on Thanksgiving, here's the solution at Blue Duck Tavern. Thank you for being here.
Our pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Delicious.
Meanwhile, DJ Neekola is playing us into the break, and later in the show, we're actually going to see how she transformed into one of her many different personalities during a performance.
And up next, we chat with Chef Andy Murray. He's the brother of funny man Bill Murray and the owner of the Caddyshack restaurants. He has a new cookbook out full of Murray family traditions.
Welcome back. We are here again with DJ Neekola, and we have just a few friends with us as well. Thank you all for sticking around.
You know, it's a Wednesday, it's hump day. We need something to get the rest of this week going. 100%. And you've changed your look a little bit here.
Yeah, so I went from Neeks to Neekola.
There you go. And this is who you are on stage, right?
Yes, when I play pop music and commercial music, I have this look. And then when I play my own personal music, which I was playing before, I look like myself.
Okay. You've been doing that your whole career?
I have, yeah. I usually have the pink hair whenever, it's just another persona, because it's not my music, it's someone else's, so I want to say, okay, I'm going to be somebody else because I'm playing somebody else.
It's going to be fun to kind of have those different personalities. Riley, we talked a little bit about you, like impersonating Beyonce. I mean, how much fun is that to get into that persona?
Yeah, and you know what? It comes on right when I go on stage, and as soon as I come off, it's gone. Like I don't come off. Yeah,
you figured out
the music and the lights help, and then the screaming and all that stuff. Yeah.
How long does it take you to get ready? I was also wondering that early because
for a concert, probably like an hour and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Do you have it down though?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I can do my makeup in like 12. I
does,
time myself 12 minutes for makeup.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite impressive.
Yeah.
We need a
Chef Andrew, how long does it take you to get ready in the morning?
Also about 12 minutes.
About 12 minutes.
Yeah, Chef Andrew, how you feeling over it?
Woefully underdressed.
Yes. You look great. We give you good sparkles. Great. Well, thank you all for being here for our Wednesday.
Thanks for having
us. Riley's you've got your show November 30th.
Yep, 3 weeks.
Yep. Okay, so getting ready for that. You got Thanksgiving coming up at Blue Duck Tavern. Yep. And then, Neekola, where can we find you and come to one of your big parties?
Well, I'd love for you to go on my website, djneeks.com, and I have all of my virtual events and my live events listed, as well as how you can help the kids in my foundation.
Awesome. Always giving back. And Mary, thanks for jumping in too.
Always a pleasure.
Always you for coming in. Thank you. All right, so is this your own music?
This is music that I made during the pandemic. It's called Beat, Play, Love, and it's just basically like the movie, but my own version.
There you go. Riley, a simple step of Beyonce's you could teach us?
I could do the Single Ladies.
There you go. We got to get the single. Come on, Chef. Let's see yours.
You do it. You can do this.
Yeah.
There you go. We're going to send you out. Make it a great Wednesday, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good one.
I like the single ladies.
Yeah.
Am I doing? Okay.